So, like I was telling you inside after your, I'm going to call it a performance because it was more of a performance than a speech,
It
right?
is, yeah. Thanks. I'm glad you noticed that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we checked Max out of school today specifically to come hear you speak.
Awesome.
We were really upset to miss it last year.
Oh, yeah.
So
This
we,
was better because last year they made a lot of great changes this year because last year they had us scattered all over the place. And I was in some theater
Yeah.
above the restaurant, and people didn't know where to go. So I had 20 people in that crowd maybe. And it wasn't
Wow.
many, and there was a seat for 100.
Yeah.
So it felt really empty. Like this was a smaller room, and it filled it up pretty nicely.
more
and,
condensed and
yeah,
focused
so
and everything.
and that just that helps the energy of everything, and and that's so much a great presentation is everybody's feeling the energy of the room, and
Absolutely.
that's why comedy clubs are set so close to each other, and everyone's packed because they can pack that house. People laugh more, and it's just about an
Right.
energy. Yeah, it's like they don't feel as conspicuous or self-conscious, and yeah, so-
Exactly right. So that's a great point on entrepreneurship is Brew's ability to pivot, realizing the things that maybe could have been done better this time around. And
I talked to
absolutely
Natasha
nailing
about
it.
that
Yeah.
before I went. Natasha, before I went on today, and I mentioned that to her. I go, you guys are you're a proving ground for what you're talking about because you guys are adapting as you're going and you're learning and that's so much of succeeding as an entrepreneur. You got to adapt as you go because some things are working, some things aren't. Things change. I mean, COVID required all of us to now we have to be more creative, collaborate more. We have to think outside the box. Innovation, how are we going to get this done now? We can't do it the way we used to. And so many good things came out of that because, you see so many people now work from home and,
Right.
that all changed. And then they realized we can get this done. Nothing's happened to our bottom line. People are still doing great. And now look at the money we're saving on office space and,
Right.
so some people didn't because they signed leases 10 years in advance, and now they're making people come back because
Right.
we got this
That's the
office
thing.
space here. But
Exactly.
yeah.
Max, do you have any questions as it pertains to running?
I'm still processing the whole speech right now. I definitely will probably think of something later.
Awesome.
Yeah. Is there any point that really hit home for you?
Finding your passion that really pertained to me.
That's what was so hard for me growing up because I was passionate about baseball and basketball. I don't want to run. Running's this is no fun. But I was so good at it, so I was passionate about winning. So that's what drove me was my competitive nature, and I was really great at this thing. I could beat everybody. So that's what drove. And I learned to build a passion, which is so sad now that I can't really do it much anymore because I just get hurt all the time. And I miss that. I built such a passion to run. And now when you get older, it's not about winning or any of that. It's about the joy of the run. And it took me a while to grow that in myself. And I didn't have that in the beginning. So, and it's a lifelong, it's hard now that I can't do it much anymore because I miss it terribly. And it's one of those things you don't realize until it's gone, how much you loved it. I was always because when you gotta practice and you gotta put in, in college and beyond was if I didn't get my workout, I'd be out there sometimes 11 o'clock at night because I procrastinated all day.
His sister were out there from 8 to 9 o'clock last night.
And
same
you got to
thing.
put in the run or you're going to really feel like you're not. And running is like I said, sometimes the person who wins is the one who works the hardest. And the person who puts in the time. You could be talented. If you don't work at it, there's a great equalizer called work and who does it and who doesn't.
Right.
And you can build a lot of confidence by knowing you're in really great shape and you've worked hard. So that's but that's thinking. I think about what that means in life. That's the same concept for anything. If you work hard at it,
Right. So going back to entrepreneurship, you were talking about passion a couple minutes ago. There is the classic struggle, the devil and the angel on our shoulders, and my husband and I go through it all the time. The struggle between passion versus profit, right? So what do you say to those entrepreneurs that sometimes it feels a lot to me like you're walking on water, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I'm walking on water. And then you sink, right? So because you have that moment of doubt and you let that fear take over. So
right.
What can you say to encourage those entrepreneurs on their journey?
One of them came up to me after the presentation. We were talking about this very thing, and I talked about the reason I do what I do is not because of money. If you do something because of money, you're never going to have enough of it because that's going to be the end all goal. And I'm not, don't make a negative thing about money or else you won't make it. You know what I mean? It's and I would like to do even better than I'm doing. And I know I could. I see people in my industry that make more than I do, and I'm like, my presentation, I totally can hold up to theirs, if not better.
Right.
So there's things I need to figure out, how do you get in that arena? But that's not why I do what I do. I do what I do because when I'm in the middle of that presentation, even today was an example of it, seeing your son's face, seeing people's face, like, and they're with you and they're listening and they're like, and you can see it in their eyes, like I've hit something with them. You can see that you're reaching somebody, and that's like something working through me. That's like, this is my gift that I came into this world with, and I'm utilizing it for the betterment of other people. And that's what I believe. In the beginning, I talked about being genuinely who you're meant to be, and you're the gift because there's no one else like you. So that means your life and who you are is the gift. So how do you share that genuine you and what those gifts have been given to you? Like, and I know when I'm doing that, that's why I do what I do. That's when you walk away from this, when you're laying down at night and you're like, and you really feel like you made a difference, and you feel like you've touched somebody's life for the positive. And then, money comes with that, and like you can make more, but don't make that. So passion is definitely over profit. And I think if you are passionate, truly, genuinely passionate about it, you're going to be profitable. You'll be good at it.
I agree.
Because it's also like it's an extension of you. So here's an example. So a job I got out of college before I ever started speaking, before my mom had me fill in for her, was at CNN. And in Chicago, and I was a communications major, but I didn't make the Olympic team. It's okay, now what? I got to get a real job. And I ran professionally for a little while, but not enough to. I wasn't a big name that made enough money to do this for a living. This is back in this is 1990, 92, and so I had to get a job, and I landed this job at CNN because I was a runner. The guy who ran the bureau knew who I was in CNN, and he's like, I had no experience. He's like, we'll teach you everything you need to know. You got the job. Because he's like, we talk about running all the time. So anyway, so I get on that job, and in the first week, you guys, I knew, you can tell from my presentation, I'm very sensitive, very emotional. That's the gift that I have. That's the intuition, the feeling part. I'm very much that, and that's how I was built, and I love that about me. I have to work on the analytical, think this through, don't do everything based on emotion. You got to really balance that out sometimes. But I trust in my feeling side. So that job, I was shadowing the reporters because I was going to be a reporter. And if you ever watch the news, you know what I'm leading to. Everything was negative. Everything was like tragic. Everything was like, what happened today? What do we? And in television news, the old adage is, if it bleeds, it leads. So we have to get video. If we can get video of something that could, we can flash as a commercial, we can show, like, coming at the news on the news is this happened today. Like, we'd have to be there reporting on it. And I was like, it was brutal. It was I couldn't handle it. And so I knew this isn't it. This is not the right thing for me. But it was this great opportunity I had as such a young guy. I didn't know what to do, and I had nowhere else to go. So I was sticking with it until my mom said, I need your help. Will you go give this presentation? I got the flu. I'm not going to be ready. And I'm like, all right, because she was paying me, and I didn't ever think I would do that. And she always said, you're going to do this. I can see it. I visualize it. And I never believed her because I'm like, I didn't feel it. I'm like, I see what you do. I don't want to do this. But I was the captain of every team I was on. I was always the leader. I always had that, whatever that is, to get on a stage and be able to command that.
It's leadership.
And so my mom always saw it. And we have 4 kids in our family. She's like, you're the one that's got the personality, plus the entertaining part. I want to entertain. I want to make it fun. So literally, I go and give that speech, and I started getting hired. So I'm still at CNN. I'm like, and I'm making up excuse after excuse to sneak away and go give these speeches.
Right.
So finally, the guy called me. He's like, man, you're missing a lot of work. What's going on here? And I told him, I think I need to leave because this is not my passion.
Right.
This other thing that found me is my passion. And that's what was interesting. I didn't find it. It found me. I was just always never going to settle for not being passionate about what I did. And that's where my family was always worried about me. What's he going to do when the running's over? This kid gets fired from every job he has. And it was because if I didn't like it and I felt no connection or passion to it, I don't want to do it. This is not how I want to live my life. You're going to spend a lot of time working. You got to find what you're passionate about because it's going to make your whole life that much better. Doesn't mean it always feels that way. It doesn't mean it's always easy. But like, I think I made that connection today when I was on the stage. I talk about this is the best part, but you don't see all the work that goes into so I can get to this best part. So I have to constantly be, pushing myself to do the other parts because I won't get to do many of these parts if I don't do that part. And that's the part I struggle with is the marketing end of it. And I mean, I've been called everywhere I go, like, wow, we never heard of you. You're like the best kept secret. I'm like, I don't want to be a secret.
Right.
But that's great because then people talk about you. Most of the work you get in this business is referrals. So if you do well somewhere and people will talk, hey, I saw the speaker and this is who he is. And you got to make sure you give people your card and this is who I am. And here's how you can find me. And that's going to get you, 90% of your work. And that's so you got to be passionate about what you do. So I guess to answer the question, passion definitely is the key. And you will be profitable too. But I don't think that should be for me anyway, that's not the goal. It's not how much money can I make. Yeah. Although I'd like to do even better.
Although I'm open to more money.
Absolutely.
Universe. Yeah.
Well, especially when you see other people and you're like, they're getting what? And you're like, oh boy, I can deliver. I know I can deliver, in a way that maybe they can't. And so how do you get in that arena? That's the key.
How do you balance your busy speaking and traveling schedule with having a young family?
Yeah, that's another hard part. Like, I'm gone this whole week, but then speaking is an interesting career because if you're doing great and if you get like, say you get 6 speeches a month, that means you must, 1 a week and maybe twice in 1 week at the rates that we get, you're doing great. That means you're only gone for like less than half the month. That means you're home for solid home. Now, you're not going to a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 6. You're home. I mean, so you get the good and the bad.
Trade-off, yeah.
There's times that's the word. Trade-off is a great word. I was just talking to someone yesterday about weight loss, and I help people with that because everything is a trade-off. And I feel like I'm about 10 pounds over where I should be. But in order to be, not where I should be, to be at peak physical shape. And at this age, it's all what you eat. It's really, you can't even exercise like you used to. So that's not you should exercise to work your heart muscle and do cardio for that. But in your mid 50s, you really it's what you eat. But if you're going to be in peak physical shape, it takes total self-discipline and everything's a trade-off. So if you want to look great and feel incredible, you have to watch everything you're doing. Now, there's a moderation in there. So maybe I'm not in perfect shape. I'm in good shape. But I also can every now and then have some pizza or have some of the things that I enjoy. Just can't have a lot of it, but you can still, when I was in peak physical shape, when I couldn't run in my 40s, I was back down to my weight when I was running sub 4-minute miles, and I wasn't even working out because I watched everything I ate.
Really?
So that's the trade-off. Like when everyone's having pizza, I don't get to have any. When everyone's having soda or pop or whatever, I don't have any. I drink water. So that's anything in life. It's like it's going to be, if you want this, well, you can't keep living this way and think you're going to get that.
And the older I get, the more I realize the trade-off is so apparent in every big decision.
Yes.
Like whatever you choose, you have to pick the thing that is best for you right now.
Right.
And there's always going to be that one little thing that, you're giving up to have this other thing.
So here's an
never
example.
Easy, right?
This trip is an example. So New Orleans is my favorite city, and I've been everywhere. And I love New Orleans. I love the food. I love the music. I love just hanging out in the city, in the French Quarter. It's so eclectic. It's so fun. And so I have to go to Philadelphia tomorrow. So I could have gone home tonight. I won't get home till tonight. I'd be up early in the morning, get back on a plane. I'm just staying here and going straight to Philadelphia. So now I get to go to Drago's in New Orleans, and we have my favorite food, which is charbroiled oysters.
Right.
And, a lot of butter in those things. Not the healthiest thing, but it's like, I don't care. I love it, and I'm going to give that to myself. You have to learn how to be your own best friend. You have to learn how to take care of your needs as well. And instead of stressing and getting home and then getting up back early and getting Ubers back, and that's going to cost money, just I'm going to stay in my favorite city. I'm going to go enjoy some of my favorite foods. I'm going to go listen to some live jazz.
Yeah.
And I'm going to enjoy myself and then head to Philadelphia.
And then you can just dance it off on stage tomorrow on those 2 broken hips,
Absolutely.
right?
Well, yeah. I got to get the other hip done, but yeah.
You dance pretty great for a mid-50s guy with 2 janky hips.
Oh, I know. Thank you. It's like I know the audience is going to tell me one day when it's over, they're going to be like, oh my God, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Look at him. This poor guy.
Cracking, creaking. Where'd you learn those sweet dance moves?
I taught the audience today role modeling, which means one person had to dance and the person across from them had to copy everything they were doing. And that's role modeling. It's nothing more than imitating what other people do. I learned how to dance by watching people dance and imitating them and just studying it. So Michael Jackson, what I start with, being able to, obviously I can't dance. That guy I think is one of the greatest of all time.
Right.
But I can do pretty well and I can pull it off. And, but it's because I used to study and watch every move he did and tried to practice and learn it. I always had natural rhythm, so I just knew how to dance. But all those dances I did are people I've like watched, John Travolta, you do the Carlton dance, and nowadays the stanky leg and the soldier boy and I didn't do, but the one I do and I do younger crowds is the gritty. Oh my gosh, they go crazy. They
know how to
lose
do the gritty?
They lose their minds.
Yeah.
It's like you know what it
Yeah.
is though, right? So it's and they go. It's like so. Seeing an older guy being able to do those moves, and all it was like, how am I going to learn it? I watch YouTube. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, who does the gritty? And I went, okay, I can figure that out, study it, do it, practice. I'm like, got it.
How funny.
So anything you want to be great at. So if there's someone that's you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to make it in this business. Well, odds are there's someone that's doing great and really succeeding. Talk to those people if you can. They'll be more than happy. Most people are pretty generous about sharing their journey and what they did to get to where they are. And that can really give you a blueprint of like, this is what it's going to take. Now, you might not get the same results because you're a different person, but you're going to learn. And what you're going to learn, the more people you talk to is like, wow, this isn't easy. I have to be ready to do the work and to take action, to motivate myself to be inspired to take action. And what's going to do that? Your passion's going to do that because you have a passion for this and you're going to want to succeed. And that's what's going to drive. And then the profits will come. I mean, especially if it's nowadays, the people that succeed the most are people that figured out, okay, that's why I talked about CNN. Like that wasn't me. Speaking, wow, that's emotional, that's feeling, that's energy, that's creative. I'm the kind of guy, I don't like structure. I don't like doing the same things every day. So my career, every day is different. This week I'm in Baton Rouge, and I'm going to New Orleans, and I'm going to Philadelphia, and down to Atlantic City. Then next week I'll be doing something else and be in a different city. Then I get to be home for the week, and then I get to, it's like, I like that. I never know. I have to remind myself, what day of the week is this?
Right.
Because like, I don't know, a Monday feels no different from a Friday to a Thursday to, and I love that. Where some people, oh, it's Monday. It's like, because they're going to jobs they don't like and they're enduring. And that's why Monday's the start of the week. And here we go again. I'm like, I think life
Doesn't have to be like that.
Well,
right?
for some people, I mean, it's easy for us, not easy to say, but I'm not trying to put down people that have to endure because they have to take care of people,
Right.
and I admire that work ethic.
Respectable for
Yeah,
sure.
very respectable. But it's never too late to follow your passion and what I call follow your bliss. What is it that brings you bliss? That brings you like this isn't like work. This is like now there's going to be work
Fun.
elements
Yeah,
to it,
yeah,
but yeah.
For sure. Max, do you have any questions, comments? No? No.
So as
Okay.
a runner, so this is Max, and he told me he ran 4:39, 4:39 the miles, a 15-year-old. That's kind of right around where I was at that age, and so I think his goal is to break the 4-minute mile like I did. So I think you can do that, but the key is going to be, especially with distance running, you gotta put in the work. You gotta work hard. Yeah, I told you that story. I was slack man up until I was a sophomore in high school. I was really lazy and didn't want to work. I was talented enough, but then my dad taught me about vision and how you got to think beyond where you are and where you want to be.
Yeah.
Like I never thought about that. Like where's this taking me? And like I was just good at it and I like winning, but where's this taking me? And when I started seeing where I wanted it to take me, I started to realize, well, that's not going to happen if I don't really start to buckle down and work hard at this. And if you want it bad enough, you'll find your reasons and your passion will drive you there. So
That story about your dad and Ray Kroc just blew my mind.
Yeah.
As you were starting to talk about it, I'm like, it couldn't be. It couldn't be.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So what's so great
It's
is like my
amazing.
dad is now 85 and he has short-term memory loss. And so he had to quit work. He's a consultant who was doing consulting work for years and he had to retire. And so me and my brother take him out a lot to lunch. And what's great is like, the short-term memory loss is sad because he was never like that. He'd be like, how's the family? Oh, great, Dad. Everyone's doing well. And like a minute later, so how's the family?
Yeah.
But then you get him talking about the past. And so we've been sitting down and I've convinced him we're going to write a book together because you have so much knowledge about all the stuff that helps people succeed. And he talks about Ray Kroc. He had a direct line to Ray Kroc. He used to go to the franchises that people would open, and my dad's job was to go in there and show him how to operate the place so it would be successful. And if anyone gave him any guff, he'd be like, here, call this guy. And they'd call, and Ray Kroc would answer. And they'd be like, and Ray'd be like, yeah, listen to Norb. He knows what he's doing. Just listen to what he says. That's it. And then they'd be like, okay. So he became the favorite guy in manpower development that people wanted. And he loved it, but he was on the road all the time.
Yeah.
And so when we went through the stuff that we did as a family, my mother struggled. He decided eventually they started their own company together. That's what's so cool. But we moved from a big house to a little apartment because we didn't have the money because they started their own company. But what was so different, this is why following your bliss, your passion. My parents were happy. They were in charge of their own destiny. So they were entrepreneurs and they started their thing. And that's why when I started speaking, my mother was a speaker and she was a woman that couldn't leave her house for 3 years, couldn't leave her bedroom, to now speaking and helping other people overcome their obstacles and things that held them back. And so I grew up in this. I marinated in all this stuff. And so, and of course, I was this gifted runner. My whole family, we all marinated in this. So we're very, very interesting group because of the things we knew at a very young age. We used to do goal setting workshops when we were kids. My parents would learn about how to do this stuff, and they'd use us as guinea pigs. We did personality profiles when we were kids. We were doing all because the stuff they were learning. They're like, here, we're going to do this with you, and it's like so. We knew all this self-help stuff because we lived it, and it ended up being like such a major part of my life. And if you look at me as a speaker, you combine my two parents and what they're like. I'm like a mix of the two of them. Of course, then with my own, there's that spark of who I am.
Right.
But it's definitely, you can see the influence of both my parents. And so we take them out to lunch and we get them talking about things. And, we started taking notes. I'm like, Dad, this is gold. This stuff is great. We need to write a book. I go, I'll write the book. You just keep giving me the information. And so my mom said after the last lunch, which was last week, he came home and he started writing stuff down. So it's good because we need to keep his mind active and keep him doing things because now that he's retired, he doesn't he doesn't know what to do with himself.
Right.
And it's like, he was such a worker his whole life. He just loved work. And so, but he's adapting and he's doing his thing. So but me and my brother are helping out. So that's key.
Well, we certainly appreciate you sitting down and giving us the time for this interview.
My pleasure. Yeah.
We're so happy that we had the opportunity to see you and watch you and learn to do the sprinkler. Lawnmower.
Let me give you my website if anyone. I got two things happening right now. So Eddie Speak, EDDIESPEAK.com is my speaking website. But I just launched HealthyMotivatedTeen.com,
cool.
which is if you want access, because one of the things that helped me not be on the road so much is I've created online courses that you could take, and I could work with you. And I got a called the Healthy Life Vault of all stuff I film and I my programs, my curriculum that you could subscribe to. There's one thing called the 4-Minute Formula for like $19.95. You can have 2 hours of content just for that price. So that's a new website I just opened because I'm hoping that if I could do more of that, I could be home more with my little kids. And that's so important to me. I don't want to be gone, but I'll never give up. I mean, you saw how much I love doing that.
Yeah.
It's a performance. It's a part of who I am. I'll never give that up, but I'd like to be able to pick and choose a little bit more where I can go and can't go and not just about paying the bills. So, Healthy Motivated Teen, and no S on the end of that, .com, and then eddiespeak.com.
We will certainly check both of those out. So.
Yeah, maybe you guys will be my first client with that.
We'd love to.
It just opened. It just started. So yeah, it's like I'm learning to the group I'm working with is going to start advertising it. So we'll see where it goes. But
very cool.
But this brew event, I don't know if you guys know this, Baton Rouge Entrepreneurship Week is really cool. And I got to come here last year. They brought me in. It's so great to be a part of, to see how much they're helping entrepreneurs succeed. And if you want to make it in your life on your terms and you want to be an entrepreneur, it's not going to be easy. But man, for me, there's no other way I would do it because I'm in control of my destiny. And if I work hard and I put my passion into it, I'll succeed. And there's no boss that's going to make the money off of me. It's like I'm doing this for me. So I really encourage people that are interested in that, go for it. It's really powerful.
Right. And if you're missing it this week, definitely put it on your calendar for next week because the energy and the expertise and the opportunities that you have in this room, in this building, and meeting all these people, it's invaluable. So I am Jen Gennaro with Porch and Parish Magazine, and we are one of the proud media sponsors of this event. This is my son, Max Gennaro, who is skipping school today so that he could hear Mr. Eddie, it's Slowikowski.
You got it. Yeah.
Speak. So again, it's been wonderful to hear you and get to know you. And thank you again for sitting down with us today.
It was my pleasure, and I love being in Louisiana. So off to New Orleans to have some Dragos. I can't wait.
All right.
Thanks, you
we
guys.
will keep you. Thank you.